I'm Justin Carr, one of the student leaders for the Black Leadership Awareness and Culture Club. On behalf of BLACC, I would like to welcome you all to our Black History Month Assembly. Before we begin, I would like to thank our advisors, Ms. Richard, Ms. Adegbile, Mr. Barnum, and Mr. Jones, along with Ms. Amy Keith, Harvard Westlake class of 2001. Let's give a round of applause for them, please. Ms. Keith helped, along with the other advisors, to make this event possible. Black History Month is a time to celebrate African American trailblazers and inspirational figures, past, present, and future. And our speaker today is nothing short of those things.
Hi, I'm Arielle Winfield, one of the senior leaders of BLACC. An explosive and prolific actor, our speaker started his career on stage in the 70s, working with the acclaimed Negro Ensemble Company and New York Shakespeare Festival, and occasionally booking parts in TV shows and films. It was our speaker's harrowing performance in Spike Lee's 1991 flick, Jungle Fever, that finally got him noticed. Subsequently, he moved from comedies to action flicks to dramas and earned an Oscar nomination for his role in 1994's Pulp Fiction. Around this time, many of his movies became blockbusters, including mega films such as the Star Wars saga, allowing him to remain a veritable pop culture icon and the highest grossing movie actor of all time. So, without further ado, please welcome our speaker and recent star of Django Unchained, Mr. Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, it's really great to see so many fans of The Incredibles are here. Because I know none of you are really old enough to have seen Pulp Fiction or Django, so it's got to be The Incredibles or Star Wars. Thanks so much for inviting me and the warm reception that I received. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say to you or how I'm supposed to say it. But I know I'm not supposed to say it like I say things in movies, so don't expect me to say that word. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, born in Washington, D.C., in a time way before any of you can imagine there was time, 1948. And I left Washington, I guess, at about 2 months old and moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I grew up. That was during segregation. And my educational background is basically, a part of that, segregation, where everybody that taught me was black, everybody I went to school with was black. My only interaction with other races, I guess I was a member of the Model United Nations when I got to high school, and that was when I started to interact with other races. I left Chattanooga, Tennessee, went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. It wasn't that much fun. It was a great place to be. Met a lot of great people, a lot of very famous people that already attended the school, most notably Dr. Martin Luther King. And I spent 3 really good years there, and then I became what was known as a student militant, and there were certain things about the school that I didn't like, and a group of other people didn't like, and we wanted to talk to the Board of Trustees about those things, and they didn't seem to have time for us, so we locked them in a building and talked to them for a couple of days. They consequently kicked me out of school after that was over. I spent 2 years out of college, and I finally went back and graduated with a degree in drama. I initially went to Morehouse to be a marine biologist, which is a whole nother story, and I lost sight of that and ended up in the theater, thank goodness. I spent a couple of more years in Atlanta knocking around doing theater, along with the woman who eventually became my wife, LaTanya. We've been together almost 42, almost 50 years. We've been together a long time. We left Atlanta eventually and moved to New York City on Halloween night, 1976, and started doing theater. She was very fortunate. She got a job in the touring company for Color Girls and went on a national tour, and I started to knock around New York trying to find my way in the theater. And I had I've only had one real job outside of the theater. When I got to New York, I was a security guard at a place called Manhattan Plaza, and it was a construction site because people hadn't moved into it yet. And I walked around and punched the clock from 11 at night until 7 in the morning, and absorbed all the things that were going on in Times Square, which was a real zoo at the time. It was a bad movie when you look at it. But I learned a lot. I gained a lot of experience doing that, and I finally started to do theater. And I used all the skills that I'd learned in college to keep myself from waiting tables and ever having to be a security guard again. So I started hanging lights and doing costumes and building sets and doing all the things that I needed to do so that when I had auditions, people said good luck and not, hey, who's going to wait my tables? So I was fortunate in that. And I had this interesting life. I met a lot of people up and coming there. One of my first encounters was with Morgan Freeman, who was there doing theater. I was his understudy in a play, Mother Courage, at the Public Theater. We spent time working together. I ended up doing several Pulitzer Prize-winning plays and walking the streets and auditioning with people like Denzel and Lawrence Fishburne and Wesley Snipes and James Pickens Jr., people that you see on Grey's Anatomy, and I guess a couple of people made it. Some of us made it, and some of us are still struggling in the theater. I used to call my agent all the time and ask her if Hollywood called. She was like, no, Sam, not today. And one day I called her and asked if Hollywood called, and she said, actually, they did. And it was amazing. Spike had taken Jungle Fever to the Cannes Film Festival, and I was awarded a Best Supporting Actor award at the Cannes Film Festival. And that was the first time, thank you. And that was the first and only time that award's ever been given at the Cannes Film Festival. And all of a sudden, Hollywood called. Amazingly, I got a lot of accolades for the role of Gator in Jungle Fever. Interestingly enough, Gator was a crackhead in the movie and very manipulative, and he had done a lot of things to his family and made his way. And for me, it was a revelation just because I had been Gator for the last 2 years when I was in New York, unfortunately. But, well, I don't know. You know, people ask me all the time to speak about my drug addiction and what it did to me and how it affected my life and that. And, you know, it's obvious. I was in my own way for a very long time. I wondered why certain people were getting the call and getting better jobs or getting the movie jobs that I auditioned for, and I finally figured it out. I was in my own way. I might have gone to the audition, you know, eyes might have been a little red, I might have smelled like the beer I had that morning instead of a cup of coffee. And they would rather hire somebody that they thought was dependable as opposed to me. So fortunately for me, my wife found me passed out on the floor one night, called my best friend from high school, who was a drug counselor, and he got me into a rehabilitation facility. 2 weeks after I got out of that facility, I started to do Jungle Fever. This was the first time I had ever acted without a substance in my body, which gave me a sense of clarity that I always thought I had, but apparently I didn't. So doing that role was a cathartic change for me. And I realized that, okay, things are starting to change for a very specific reason. That reason being my eyes were open, my mind was clear, and I was focusing on something other than my own problems. And that was the fact that I loved doing what I was doing and I wanted to do it for a long time. And I had a choice at that point. Everybody always says that going back to drugs is just part of getting clean. You always have a relapse. And I started looking at it. I started getting better jobs. I went from Jungle Fever to a movie called White Sands in New Mexico, and I went from White Sands to Patriot Games with Harrison Ford. All of a sudden, I've left a place where I was making $200 a week maybe, and I was making thousands of dollars, and I was kind of clear and kind of okay. So I said, okay, so I was worried about the fact that if I didn't drink and do drugs, would I still be fun with my friends? And then I started to look at the other side and go, I'm making more money and I feel better, and let me see how this feels for a while. Let me check on this. And it was an easy choice. The more I focused on making myself a better person and a better actor and dealing with the craft, the more things started to come to me. So I made a conscious choice that I would rather be that and see where that takes me. I had given that other thing 30 years worth of my time, so let me see if I can give this as much time and see where it takes me. And consequently, it puts me in front of you. Wow. I don't quite know what else I need to tell you. You know where I went to college. You know what I studied. I was majoring in theater. Yeah, I was a civil rights activist. Did theater in New York. Did a lot of theater in New York. New York theater was a wonderful thing. Like I said, it was a serious camaraderie there that taught me a lot about dealing with other actors and the non-competitive nature, but the supportiveness that other actors have for one another. We auditioned together, we rode the train together, we were broke together, we pooled our pennies and bought hot dogs together and shared them. We split them and ate them and did things, and it made us all closer. We went to watch each other work, and we paid attention to each other's work, and we supported each other, and we cheered each other. And that's carried me a long way, and I forged friendships during that time that I still have to this day. I guess some people want to know. No, you don't want to know that. Actually, let's see, transition from stage to screen. These are stories, these are questions that some of you had, and I think it's easier now that I've kind of laid out who I am, where I am. Oh, I have one daughter, Zoe, who's she went to Oakwood, up the street. She also went to Vassar. She graduated. She's now a producer. She was a producer at ESPN for a while now. She's in town, actually, now. She lives in New York, but she's here in LA, and she's producing the finale of Top Chef right now, so she's kind of busy. My wife is in Atlanta directing a play. She's directing 2 Trains Running by August Wilson, so she's busy. She's out of town. And I'm here today. I actually shouldn't be here, but I'm here. But I'm on my way to Johannesburg to start a film called Kite, which is a live-action version of a Japanese anime. And after that, Captain America 2, back in the Nick Fury role. Like I said, I've been very fortunate. I dreamed about being an actor for a very long time. Why I was fooling myself thinking I wanted to be an oceanographer, I'll never know. I always thought I wanted to be the Black Jacques Cousteau. I just wanted to hang out in the water. I always thought inner space was much more exciting than outer space, so I figured I'd go underwater and hang out. I like to dive and do stuff like that. But I've loved movies since I was a kid. I spent a lot of my time in the movies when I was a kid, and I watched a lot of movies. I still spend an inordinate amount of my time watching movies. I collect Asian films, so I watch a lot of Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Korean. Koreans are making really great films these days. Indonesian films. I just like Asian film. It's more visual and it stimulates me in another way. But I grew up watching movies and imagining myself on screen. So aside from the very serious things that I do, I will occasionally do a Snakes on a Plane because those are the kind of movies I liked when I was a kid. And I always wanted to see myself in a movie with a bunch of snakes. And I'm still trying to find the right slasher movie to do because I like slasher movies. And I'm still, I did things like Deep Blue Sea because I wanted to run from something that had big teeth and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not that serious about it. I really think movies should be fun, and I think they should be entertaining. If I want to teach you something, I'll do a documentary. But I do this because it feeds me. It feeds my artistic sense. A lot of people think I do too many movies. I read an article in the paper yesterday about me doing too many movies. But, writers get up and write every day. Painters get up and paint every day. Actors only have so many acting opportunities in a lifetime. I'm going to take mine as they come and do as many movies as I can before I'm up out of here. And that's basically who I am. Oh, and I'm also a decent golfer.